Welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, we're going to read Genesis chapter 2. We've started at chapter 1. That's all about the creation of the world. And now we're going to read the Garden of Eden. God planted a garden in the east, in Eden. There he put the man whom he had formed. Out of the ground the Lord made trees of every kind to grow, both those that are pleasant to the eye and those that are good for food. In the middle of the garden he planted the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. A river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and beneath the garden the river divided and became 4 rivers. The first was called Pison, the name of the second was Gihon, and the third Hiddekel, and the fourth Euphrates. God took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to care for it and keep it. And God commanded the man, saying, "Of every tree in the garden you may eat freely, except for the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Of this do not eat, for in the day that you eat of it you shall surely die." Then God said, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a companion for him." But first God brought every beast of the field and every bird of the air, which he made out of earth, to man, to see he would call them. And what man called each creature, this became the creature's name. Man gave names to the cattle, to the birds of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for himself man did not find a companion. So God put man into a deep sleep, and as he slept, God took one of his ribs, the rib the Lord God made into a woman, and he brought her to man. Who said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh"? Her name shall be woman, because she is taken out of man. And the man and the woman were naked. They were not ashamed. The next chapter. The serpent in the garden. The most cunning of the beasts which the Lord had made was the serpent. And the serpent said to woman, "Did God forbid you to eat fruit of the trees of the garden?" The woman said, "We may eat the fruit of the trees of the garden, except the tree which is in the middle of the garden." Of this God said, "You shall not eat of it or touch it, lest you die." "You will not die," said the serpent. "God knows that the day you eat of the fruit your eyes shall be opened, and you will be like gods, knowing good from evil." The woman looked at the tree and saw that it was pleasant to the eye and good for food. She felt it was to be desired, because it would make one wise. So she picked some of the fruit and ate it, and she gave some also to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together to cover themselves. In the cool of the day the Lord walked into the garden. The man and the woman heard a voice of the Lord, and hid themselves from his presence among the trees of the garden. The Lord God called to man, saying, "Where are you?" "I have heard your voice in the garden," said man. "I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself." "Who told you that you were naked?" asked the Lord God. "Have you eaten the fruit of the tree from which I commanded you not to eat?" Man said, "The woman who you gave me to be with gave me fruit of the tree, and I did eat." The Lord God said to woman, "What is thou you have done?" "The serpent tempted me," said the woman, "and I ate." The next chapter. They are driven from the garden. The Lord God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. You shall crawl on your belly and eat dust all the days of your life. I shall make the woman your enemy, and her children the enemies of your children. They shall wound you in the head, and you shall wound them in the heel." To the woman he said, "I will multiply your suffering. You shall bring forth your children in sorrow, and for happiness you shall depend on your husband, and he shall rule over you." To the man he said, "Because you listened to the voice of your wife, and ate of the forbidden fruit, the ground shall be cursed beneath you. In sorrow you shall eat it out of every day of your life. Thorns and thistles it will bring forth for you, and you shall eat the grass of the field. By the sweat of your brow you will earn your bread until you return to the earth. For out of the earth you were taken. Dust you are, and to dust you shall return." The Lord God then made coats of skin for the man and his wife, and clothed them. And the Lord God said, "Behold, the man is like one of us now, knowing all things. If he were to put out his hand and eat also of the tree of life, he would live forever." Therefore the Lord God sent man out of the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which he was made. He drove them out and placed cherubim to the east of the Garden of Eden, and flaming sword which turned in every direction to guard the path to the tree of life.